Welcome to the Canadian Economist. I am your host, Todd Watters. This is your reality check. If the mail stops moving in a country as vast as ours, what else grinds to a halt? And what does that tell us about the kind of country we want to be? Last week, Canadian postal workers went on a surprise strike. The tension between the federal government and the postal union is shaping up to define the future of Canada's postal institution. The Canada Post strike is not just another story about wages and benefits. It is a stress test for a national institution that still carries the daily life of a modern democracy. Canada Post is a crown corporation. That means it is publicly owned and mandated to serve every address in the country, urban or rural, coastal village or northern community. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers represents tens of thousands of people who move our letters and parcels and staff local post offices. When negotiations break down and the mail stops, the effects are immediate. Small businesses lose predictable shipping. Seniors worry about prescriptions. People waiting for immigration documents or legal forms or benefit payments face delays. Remote and Indigenous communities feel the pinch fastest because alternatives are scarce and often costly. To understand the strike, you have to understand the collision between two realities. On one side, letter mail has been falling for years as bills and messages move online. On the other side, parcel volumes have surged with e-commerce, but that market is fiercely competitive and price-sensitive. Private couriers cherry-pick dense and profitable urban corridors. Canada Post must serve everyone, and that is expensive. Wages, vehicles, depots, sorting technology, safety equipment, and a network that reaches from Vancouver Island to Labrador. When costs rise faster than revenue, the pressure shows up in bargaining. Management looks for flexibility. The union looks for security and standards. Government, as the sole shareholder, wants the system to be reliable without writing a blank check forever. Union leaders say Canada needs a modern public postal service that protects good jobs and guarantees service to every community. They argue that headline reforms often amount to cuts. Fewer door-to-door routes, fewer staffed counters in small towns, more community mailboxes, and longer walks for people with mobility challenges, more part-time and temporary work, and fewer permanent positions. They also point to safety and workload. You cannot push people to carry heavier loads over longer routes and then be surprised by injury rates and burnout. They emphasize that the postal network carries more than letters and parcels. It carries social connection and civic infrastructure. Management counters that financial losses cannot continue. They point to the structural decline of letters, to rising costs of delivery, to competition that squeezes parcel margins, and to capital spending that is essential to remain relevant. Routing software, automated sorting, greener vehicles, secure parcel lockers, and redesigned depots all take money. If the business cannot pay for them, government must. How much should taxpayers invest to keep universal service at a standard that matches the expectations of the digital age? Can a democracy function without a reliable national delivery backbone? We say it cannot. Why does a modern country still need a public postal service, you might ask? First, universality and equity. A private market on its own will not serve low-density and high-cost routes at a reasonable price. A universal service mandate ensures that a farm outside Prince Albert and an apartment in downtown Montreal both count. Second, democracy and rights. Election materials, court documents, government notices, and civic information need a channel the public trusts. Third, small business vitality. Independent artisans, local bookstores, home-based entrepreneurs, and rural producers use Canada Post because it reaches customers they would otherwise lose. Fourth, social inclusion. People who are older or lower income or living with disabilities may not be able to replace mail service with an app and a credit card. Fifth, national resilience. When cyber attacks knock out systems or storms cut off roads, a national network with embedded local knowledge can reroute and improvise in ways a fragmented market does not. Now, the hard part. What do we do about it? We should be honest. This is not a choice between nostalgia and disruption. This is an engineering problem, a labor relations problem, and a nation-building problem. It needs a plan that is financially credible, worker-safe, and socially fair. Here is what that looks like. First, negotiate in a co-design framework. Bring the union, management, independent logistics experts, and community voices into a single table with transparent data. Publish the models that show where costs actually sit and where service is most fragile. Commit to binding mediation or arbitration if talks stall. Canadians have heard enough slogans. Show the numbers and show the trade-offs. Second, adopt a tiered universal service standard. Universal does not have to mean identical. Keep door-to-door delivery where density and demographics make it essential, especially for seniors and people with mobility challenges. In areas where community mailboxes make sense, set strict distance and safety standards. For non-urgent letter mail, consider fewer delivery days each week. For parcels, maintain predictable delivery windows and expand secure pickup options. The rule of thumb should be simple. Essential needs first, convenience where possible, and fairness everywhere. Third, turn local post offices into community service hubs. A small-town post office can do more than sell stamps. It can host secure parcel lockers and after-hours pickup. It can provide a counter for basic government services such as identification checks and license renewals. It can host financial services in partnership with credit unions. It can serve as a digital access point where residents can verify identity for secure online transactions. When a building is already on Main Street, use it. Fourth, invest in modern operations that make work safer and service faster. That means better route design and load balancing, so a 10-hour day with heavy parcels is not the norm. It means automated sorting where it cuts repetitive strain. It means electric vehicles for urban routes with reliable charging, and efficient vans or snow-ready equipment where they suit local conditions. A greener fleet saves money over time and reduces the pollution that already hurts the same neighborhoods postal workers walk through every day. Fifth, price the product honestly. Stamps should reflect the true cost of delivery with protections for low-income users. Parcels should be priced to win volume without racing to the bottom. Large e-commerce shippers should pay rates that reflect the burden they place on the network. A transparent price cap formula can protect customers while keeping Canada Post solvent. Sixth, protect labor standards while allowing smart flexibility. The union is right to insist on safety, training, and stable careers. Management is right to ask for the ability to adapt routes, staffing, and technology as demand changes. You can design schedules that meet both aims: more full-time jobs where the work is steady, well-paid part-time pools where demand spikes seasonally, clear paths to permanent status, no gig-style race to the bottom that treats people as interchangeable. Seventh, defend rural and northern service with targeted funding. Some routes will never pay for themselves. That is not a failure. It is a choice to keep the country whole. Create a rural service fund that is audited, transparent, and tied to measurable standards such as delivery times, access to pickup points, and safety of mailbox locations. People in remote communities deserve certainty, not charity. Eighth, run pilots before national rollouts. Try new models in a handful of varied regions: urban, suburban, small town, northern. Measure costs, delivery times, customer satisfaction, and worker injury rates. Publish the results, adjust, and then scale. Canadians are practical. We accept change when leaders show their work. Ninth, keep privatization in its place. Contracting for specific technologies or seasonal overflow is one thing. Handing the universal service mandate to profit-driven firms is another. The public system carries obligations the private market will not accept without raising prices or dropping service. Guardrails matter here. 10th, communicate with humility. When the mail does not arrive, people get angry. Explain what is changing and why. If a route is moving to community boxes, say so. If a delivery day is being reduced, say so. If a depot is closing, say so and offer alternatives. Trust grows when leaders speak plainly and keep their promises. When mail arrives on time is not ideology, it is civilization. Canada can lead by showing how to modernize a public service without breaking the social contract. We are a respected country for a reason. We have a habit of building pragmatic institutions that balance markets with fairness. That means investing wisely, bargaining respectfully, and telling the truth about costs and trade-offs. Let us also correct a few common misconceptions. First, the internet did not make the post office obsolete. It made it different. Parcels are the physical footprint of the digital economy. Second, private couriers are not villains. They are partners and competitors. They thrive in dense, profitable lanes. The public system fills in the map and sets a floor of service for everyone. Third, strikes are not chaos for chaos' sake. They are a legal last resort when workers believe their voice is not being heard. The goal is not to stop the mail. The goal is to restart it on fair terms. In the meantime, what should households do during a disruption? Switch to electronic billing where possible. Ask your pharmacy about local delivery or temporary in-person pickup for essential medicines. Use parcel lockers or authorized pickup points if they are available. Check in on neighbors who are older or have mobility challenges. A missed delivery for you might be a missed lifeline for someone else. What should small businesses do? Diversify carriers for critical shipments. Communicate clearly with customers about timelines. Use tracking and pickup options to keep orders moving. Lobby your member of parliament for a settlement that protects both fair labor standards and predictable service. What should municipal leaders do? Offer suitable public sites for parcel lockers. Work with Canada Post and community groups to ensure mailbox locations are safe, well-lit, and accessible year-round, including winter. In the end, the question is not whether we keep a postal system. We must. The only question is whether we manage the transition with honesty and care. A universal service mandate is not a museum piece. It is a living promise across a continental country that no one is invisible. The strike is a symptom of a deeper design problem. It is our chance to fix that design with data, respect, and a clear sense of purpose. Canada can come out of this stronger, with safer jobs that people are proud to do, with a network that connects every community to the digital economy, with clear rules for pricing and service, with a greener fleet and smarter routes, with post offices that are busy community hubs rather than empty counters, and with a public conversation that treats workers and customers not as obstacles, but as the reason the system exists. A country that treats universal service as a promise, not a slogan. A country that refuses to abandon rural Canada. A country that expects leaders to negotiate in good faith and to tell the truth about costs. A country that remembers that when a letter arrives on time or a parcel reaches a small-town post office for a farm owner in rural Saskatchewan, that is not magic. That is the everyday miracle of a public system doing its job. That is how the story looks through the lens of today's reality check at the Canadian Economist. I appreciate you joining me today, and until next time, I am Todd Watters, and thanks for watching.